Throughout many centuries, countless inventions and discoveries have changed human life, but among the greatest were the Wright brothers and their discoveries in aviation. These two siblings completely changed the world of transportation and opened our eyes to something new. They left an extraordinary impact on our modern society by laying the foundation for the aircrafts that we have today. The ideas and inventions that the Wright brothers exchanged, encountered, and explored helped to shape our society today.
One day, the Wright brothers' father, Milton Wright, came home with a rubber band-powered toy helicopter designed by a French aeronautical experimenter, Alphonse Pinot. As the brothers described it, this toy flew across the room till it struck the ceiling, where it fluttered a while and finally sank to the floor. Both the Wright brothers say that this toy was what sparked their interest in flight at that young age. The main question now was if they could turn that interest into a reality, so they found a place to get started. The brothers would move to a town called Dayton, Ohio, where they would start their project. Here they started a bicycle shop, which is where they would get the money that they needed to pursue their interests. Not only did they gain the money in the bicycle shop, but they would gain mechanical skills needed to build the first airplane. They would use the same tools and equipment that they used in their bicycle shop to build the airplane. The bicycle business became very important for the Wright brothers to carry through with their project. The exchange of ideas and time was a very crucial part of the first flight.
Like every inventor, the Wright brothers encountered many difficulties along the path to the first airplane. Since they were some of the first people to explore air travel, there were no instruction manuals or safety procedures. They luckily didn't encounter any fatal or permanent injuries while they worked on the first flight. Although the journey to the first flight was successful, the Wright brothers encountered many flight failures. In fact, it took them 3 years to finally stabilize their aircraft. They then worked on perfecting the design of their plane for the rest of their lives. The brothers found getting the plane off the ground quite easy. The real problem for them was being able to give the pilot good control over the plane and having a long-lasting flight. They spent a lot of their time working on their project and made many attempts. In 1902, the Wright brothers made 700 to 1,000 flight attempts over the course of only 1 month. At Kill Devil Hills in North Carolina, the unsuccessful result of their experiments with the glider led Orville to proclaim that not within 1,000 years would man ever fly. They demonstrated great perseverance in their timely intent to change history. On the day of their first flight, the Wright brothers proved to the world that they had made the first flying machine. On that day, the excitement and astonishment from the crowd was extreme. After all those failed attempts, it must have felt amazing for the Wright brothers to finally prove their success. Newspaper coverage from the first flight says, "It is a success," declared Orville Wright to the crowd at the beach after the first mile had been covered. But the inventor waited. Not until he had accomplished 3 miles, putting the machine through all sorts of maneuvers en route, was he satisfied.
It's hard to talk about the story of the Wright brothers without talking about the ideas of flight that they explored. They spent most of their time exploring ways to stabilize their aircraft. Wilbur came up with the idea of wing warping, where the pilot could move the wings in order to control the flight of the plane. They tested this idea on a 5-foot biplane kite, where the kite could be controlled left, right, up, and down just by warping the wings. At the time, this was amazing that someone could control the flight pattern of a kite. Kites were normally controlled at the mercy of the wind. They proved this idea a success, so all they needed to do now was incorporate it into a man-powered aircraft. In 1902, the brothers added a back rudder to their aircraft and connected it to the wing warping system, so that the pilot could bank left or right by just moving the rudder. They started working on the 1903 Wright Flyer. They constructed a light and powerful engine, as well as propellers to power the aircraft. They built a strong and sturdy frame to withhold the weight and vibrations. The 1903 Wright Flyer was what would innovate the world of flight. They set out to test the first powered flight at Kill Devil Hills. At 10:35 a.m., Orville took to the air for the first try, but struggled controlling the aircraft. After only 120 feet, it darted into the sand. At noon, Wilbur set out for the fourth and last trip. Right before it took off from the ground, Orville's camera snapped the only picture that it would take that day. This picture would symbolize the beginning of a new era, an era of flight. The day of the first flight, the brothers proved to the world that human flight was possible. Orville wrote in his journal, "At just 12 o'clock, Will started on the fourth and last trip. The machine started off with its ups and downs as it had before, but by the time he had gone over 300 or 400 feet, he had it under much better control, and was traveling on a fairly even course as it proceeded in this manner till it reached a small hummock about 800 feet from the starting waist, when it began its pitching again and suddenly darted into the ground. The front rudder frame was badly broken up, but the main frame scuffed none at all. The distance over the ground was 852 feet in 59 seconds.
The Wright brothers' discoveries influenced the world of transportation. All of our modern airplanes, jets, military aircraft, and spaceships came from the discoveries of the Wright brothers. If the Wright brothers were here today, they would be astounded at what their inventions led to. Orville Wright once said, "No flying machine will ever fly from New York to Paris, because no known motor can run at the requisite speed for 4 days without stopping." Orville and Wilbur would be in awe if they were here to see the immense influence that they have made on our modern society. In just 100 years, we have gone from the discovery of flight to walking on the moon.
But none of this would have been possible without the Wright brothers.